Hey everybody, it's your boy Priority Goes back here with another video. We're going to do a little bit of in-depth analysis of the Worlds Finals that just happened between FPX and G2. What I saw, what I thought, and everything that's going on. As you can see here, we got the stats pulled up from the first game. Everything from gold earned, KD, minions, everything like that, all here. We're going to click through a couple of the things that I find important and talk a little bit about them, as well as just give my overall impression as to what happened and why this series went the way it did. Let's start out here. First of all, the series went 3-0 in favor of FPX. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, a little late on that, but by now you should have seen it. It looked just as dominant as it sounded. This was, in my opinion, the most boring series to watch in the World's Tournament, simply because it was a quick 3-0. FPX just looked like they outclassed G2 around every corner, and they made all the right moves while G2 was struggling to find anything going on. I think part of that has to do with team comps that were selected, and we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about what happened in the games, as well as just FPX came in with a game plan and they executed it better than G2 did. So let's get into it here and start and look at, this is the first champion select for the first game. These are the champions that were picked. We have FPX on the left hand side of this column on the left of my screen and G2 on the right, as you can tell. The big things I want to highlight here is nobody stopped Tion from getting his Lee Sin, and there was nobody who stopped Doinby from picking his champion in the first two games. So we gave him Nautilus in his first game, and then in his second game, I believe he got Rise, right? Yeah. So that's a huge thing here. Doinby played two champions more than anything at Worlds. It was Nautilus and Rise, and he looked good on both of them. And for some reason, G2 decided to give him those champions. And even though Rise is a power pick in the meta, that was a big mistake in my opinion. This first game was the game I thought that looked best for G2. The Pike was a surprise pick, but they made it work more towards the mid and late game. The problem is that by that point, Doinby had already gone and gotten Gimgoon a huge lead and had already been roaming and all this stuff, and it was insane. Like I said, Gimgoon got a huge lead, even though he got counterpicked by G2 here. GP into Rise is not a fun matchup for the GP at all, but early lane pressure from Doinby, as well as jungle pressure from Tion when they split the map topside, and they have a Silver Thresh bot lane. I mean, against a Kench Varus, it's a very, very passive lane. Like, there's not going to be a lot of action going on down there unless one of the teams wants to start it, and G2 can't really start it till they hit 6 unless they get a gank. And with playing against the Silver Thresh, you have a Spell Shield, you have a Lantern, you have defensive summoners. Like, it's already hard enough to get rid of that lane. So FPX had all the pressure in the world, or not pressure, all the room in the world to just play around top and get Gimgoon ahead, which is not how they've really been playing. They've been playing more through the bottom, and they did this really well. Like I said, Doinby did a fantastic job in this game of early in the game just pushing the wave, roaming top, pushing the wave, roaming top, pushing the wave, meeting up with Tian in the jungle to go top. And it wasn't like he was ganking every time, but he would disappear off the map towards top side, so then Wonder has to play safe. And then he'd disappear off the map towards top side, so Wonder would have to play safe. And then finally, all of a sudden, he's there, and the gank went well. They got him, and they've just rinsed and repeat. Then in the team fights later in the game, having a fed GP is huge. Once Doinby did this topside, he started to do it towards bot side as well. Like I said, though, G2 had a little bit of a comeback towards the mid game. They do have a Pike who has huge execute damage. They do have a Elise and a Varus who have a ton of pick potential, so they were getting a couple picks and stuff throughout the game. It's just there wasn't enough to bring them back into the game after they'd already gotten behind so early. Like you can see here, G2 didn't get the Baron. G2, they split towers, but FPX just had more kills, and a lot of that has to do with the pressure that was created by Tion and Doinby in the top side of the map early in the game. As you can see here, 82% kill participation on this Lee Sin. That you're going to see a trend here with this Lee Sin. He did phenomenal on his Lee Sin during this tournament. Doinby here with 64% kill participation. He roamed top a ton, and it worked out for him. Let's go into game 2 here, where we talk about this draft. This is once again at the end of the game, as you can see by the stats here, and this right here tells you pretty much all you need to know. This gold difference at the top. G2 got absolutely dominated in this game. It was insane. The draft went, in my opinion, this draft was what G2 wanted. They got everything they wanted, and FPX let them get it. They didn't do much to stop it, and I think they did that for a reason. Looking at the draft, you can see how much more difficult it is for G2 to run this comp, right? Like a Trist mid needs certain things in order to succeed. Yasuo Gragas needs to get ahead in order to succeed. And Akali is just Akali, right? But looking at that, you have these higher mechanical champions where I'm looking at FPX here, and they're playing Kled. They're playing Ryze. They're playing Galio. These are champions that are very clear exactly what they want to do. Kled pushes one button and he's going in. Galio pushes a button to follow him up. Lee Sin goes in. Galio pushes a button to follow him up. It's just a follow-up comp that works a lot easier overall than G2's comp. This game was, like I said, it was super one-sided. Doinby 6-0-11, LLWX 8-0-6. He had the series of his career here. I don't think he died. Oh, he died. Nope, he didn't die. The entire final. So we have 4-0-3, 8-0-6, and 2-0-3. So he was phenomenal. He played fantastic. I didn't really talk too much about him because I wanted to talk more about him in this game. Yeah, he's playing into a Yasuo Gragas, but his positioning and his team fighting and everything in this series was phenomenal. That's all that you can really say about it. He was insane. Like, let's look at this here. His champion damage share is 32% in this game. His champion damage share is 21% in this game. Kill participation of 70% here. He was a monster in this series. And I think a lot of that had to do with, in this lane, right? Like, the first game he's playing Sivir. This game he's playing a Kai'Sa with a Galio, like, into a Yasuo. Like, he's getting these easier matchups for him. He's getting these matchups where it's not a difficult lane for him, and he took complete advantage of it and carried it into the team fight phase. As well as, like I said, G2 gave Doinby his Ryze. He's world-known Ryze. He's up there with the likes of people like Faker and stuff like that with his Ryze, and they decided to give it to him. 6-0-11 here, 31% damage share, 85% kill participation. He's 4.3k gold ahead of this Tristana here. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, he dominated. And then we go back to Tion here, like I was saying. Tion's Lee Sin was phenomenal in this series. G2 needed to do something about either taking away this Lee Sin or banning it or something, and excuse me. And they didn't do it. There was a lot that G2 I think needed to fix in this game, and it started with easier drafts and not giving over these power champions to these players who are known for playing them. Let's get into game 3. Like I said, this was kind of the steamroll game. It was LWX and Doinby show, and it was exactly what you would expect watching it. And then game 3 here. This game was honestly a lot closer than I feel like either of the first two games, to be honest. I know the gold lead says different, but this game really came down to just better positioning, better map movement by FPX. They were playing once again a much easier comp here. You have Gimgoon as a late game hyper carry. You have Tion as a engaged champion. You have Galio to follow him up. And then you're playing Xayah Thresh, basically another version of a Sivir Thresh lane where it's, oh, you want to engage on me? I just spell shield one of them and get the lantern. Or Crisp gets to be an initiation champion depending on the situation, right? Once again, they gave over the Lee Sin, which is a huge thing in this series. I don't know why they kept giving it over. They got the same matchup top lane into the Rise and the G2, and it was kind of the same thing. Galio would push the wave and disappear off the map, and Wonder can't play aggressive anymore. Tion played topside a lot. Wonder can't play aggressive. This Viger pick by Caps, I think, was actually a really good pick. It worked out really well for them in the mid game, but it was just by that point they were too far behind due to everything else going on the map. As you can see here, they gave up 7 towers. That's huge. Like, they 7 towers to 1. The kills were a lot more even, 10 to 8. Like, this all came down to just better positioning and better map awareness from FPX. They played really well in this game. Both teams did, actually. You know, G2 had their moments where they were making the right plays and the right decisions. It was just, at that point, I think they weren't mentally there anymore. Like, I don't know what it was about this day, but I don't think G2 came in mentally prepared for it. I mean, if you watch G2's videos at all, they were talking about after they beat SKT in their mic'd up for that week, and they're like, we won Worlds. We've won Worlds. We win this, we win Worlds. The series is over, we won Worlds. And I think that kind of got into their head. They didn't respect FPX as a team as much as they should have, and it really cost them. You know, FPX is a solid team. They played really well this year, and they showed it at Worlds. You know, Doinby was really good. Tion played a fantastic series, and LWX had the best series of his career. What is this combined? That's 10, 14, 6, 9, 14, 0, and 12. Like, that's ridiculous. He was a monster in this tournament. He was a monster in the finals, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for their wins. They didn't really play too much around him. They played more around the top side of the map, but he still found a way to get advantages and push tempo and do what he needed to do. Doinby finally got to show off on the world stage that he is a top mid laner in the world, and he has these weird picks, and they work. You know, I'm not sure anybody could pick up this Nautilus mid and make it work. I'm not sure anybody could pick up, you know, his champions like that and make them work, but he did a fantastic job with them. He knows how to play those champions. G2 picked harder to execute comps in the first 2 games. Even this game's a little bit harder to execute, I feel like, than FPX, and it shows in how the game's played out. You know, even if they have the same map movement and stuff like that, at the end of the day, yes, G2's comp is going to have more damage in this game, right? Like, you have a Galio. Galio doesn't provide a ton of damage besides his upfront burst. You have a Viger who's sustained damage. You have an Ezreal who's sustained damage. You have a Ryze who's sustained damage, and they do a ton of it. But the problem is that their comp is harder to execute, right? Like, you have to play it so much better than just, oh, Lee Sin went in, I'm pushing R, and everybody follows up from FPX, and it works. It worked out really well in this series just to play the easier team comp. A couple notable things here. You see on Lee Sin here, 100% kill participation. This game he had 50%, which was his low game. This game he had 82%. Like, he was involved in everything in the first and third game. It was insane. Like, he was everywhere. Here on this Galio, he's got 90% kill participation. He was involved in every kill. He followed up everything. 80% here, 50% from Tion, 50% or LWX, 50% from Chris. So it was all about the top side of the map. That's where they did everything, as you can see here. 3 deaths, 2 deaths, 2 deaths. It was just, they played around the top again, and it worked. It was the same game plan as game 1, rinse and repeat. So after that, we have a couple of their skins that they want to do. We don't know if they are official or anything or not yet. We have Tion with his Lee Sin. I think this is fantastic. He showed off he's a fantastic Lee Sin. Putting his world skin as Lee Sin, I think, is the right choice. That's going to mean that Lee Sin now has 2 world skins. It's going to be the SKT Lee Sin, which was a long-ass time ago, as well as this skin. I'm kind of excited to see that. Crisp doing Thresh, I really like. He played fantastic Thresh in this series. So I think it's a really good skin for him. Once again, that's a second world skin for a champion. These champions are just champions that always seem to pop up at Worlds, so I'm excited to see those 2 skins. Then we have LWX wanting Vayne or Kai'Sa. Either way, it's a second world skin for either of these champions. I was really hoping for something different. I was hoping for maybe a Xayah or something, because I personally don't play these 2 champions, and I like world skins. But his Kai'Sa was really good in that one game. I haven't seen his Vayne, so I'm not really sure about that. But whichever one they go with, I think will look fantastic. I think all these skins will look fantastic. This GP skin, I'm really hoping for, is going to be a really, really good skin in my opinion. I'm hoping, at least. And then we don't have what Doinby is going to do. I'm hoping personally he does either his Nautilus or we get another Rise skin. Just because, those are the 2 champions he played the most at Worlds. Those are 2 of the champions that everybody's been talking about on him. I want to see one of those 2 get the skin. But I think it would be really kind of funny because he's going to let his chat decide with him on a stream as to what he's going to do. I think it would be kind of troll, kind of something that a Twitch chat or a streaming chat would do, and they pick the the Pyke, just because it was against G2, and G2 everybody played Pyke. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I could see it happening. But that's going to be it for the day. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It was a little more in-depth analysis of the tournament and the finals. Personally, I thought this was the most boring series to watch. There was no fight back from G2, in my opinion. It was just FPX outplayed them, outvisioned them, played better League of Legends than them at the end of the day, and they won with Worlds. Congratulations, FPX. You were not my team. I did not pick you, so I'm not going to go ahead and say that I was right about it. But, you were the best team at the Worlds tournament this year. So, congratulations. You guys deserve it. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Peace.